Boy, oh boy, welcome in, everybody. This is the Farsi Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It's wonderful to have you along for the ride and all that type jazz, you know. Phillies suck. I have a backup tackle as the thumbnail of the show today, okay? The reason I have that backup tackle as a thumbnail of the show today is that I actually did that after the Phillies game last night. I got done all my post-cast responsibilities and all that stuff with Locked On, the great people Locked On, you know. And I was just looking at it, and I was like, I need some happiness in my life. So after that, I ended up watching the press conference or the media sessions with some of the Eagles there that are on the practice squad, including Fred Johnson, including Sam Howell as well, who tells everyone he's a quick learner. So he's got to learn another offense here in Philadelphia. Hopefully he won't need to use that knowledge much, on game days, but, nonetheless, you want them ready. But I was watching Fred Johnson, and the first question out of the gate was, what's it like to be back? Now, imagine this. You win a Super Bowl. In your opportunities to play, you play well, and you help this team win a Super Bowl. You helped them have a historic run. You helped them with a 10-game winning streak. Just imagine that. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself in Jacksonville. And then you get the news that you're being reacquired by the Philadelphia Eagles. And just like that, big, bang, boom, you're back in South Philadelphia. And the man's face says it all. It's just a big old grin. Relieved even to be back in the city of brotherly love. And yes, Philadelphia's a fine city, obviously. Love the city very much. But if you're a football player and you go from Jacksonville, if you go from the Eagles at a Super Bowl parade to Jacksonville, well, first off, not even getting re-signed by the Philadelphia Eagles. That was a choice. The Eagles then had to trade for Fred Johnson. And they bring him back to Philadelphia, and then you come back to Philly from Jacksonville. That's got to be a wonderful thing, including not just the fact that you can win again, but also be back in a winning culture that is the Philadelphia Eagles. And I thought the look on his face when the only real question was asked, which was, what's it like to be back in Philly? You could see every ounce of joy on his face. We'll also get into some other things. And look, I really like the Philadelphia Eagles this year. I mean, how do you not? You talk about the offense, what they can bring to the table. The great news that I'm alluding to in today's title is this, that Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown were both out there at practice yesterday. They also got great news on Landon Dickerson being out there at practice yesterday. This is a wonderful sign, an awesome sign for things to come when it comes to Thursday night's kickoff a week from today, folks. That's where we're at in life. But offensively speaking, this team is going to be dominant again. Defensively, there's question marks. And the more I look into it with this Eagles team, and the more you look at the complete roster and all that, and we'll go over the practice squad, a couple of names on there that I was very happy about. But you look back on this and you think, for as great as Howie Roseman is, and as great a run as he is having, this wasn't the best of off seasons for Howie Roseman. When you think about, they trade Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Okay. We're aware of the history there. He plays for you. You go to the Super Bowl. He gets interceptions. He doesn't play for you. You don't. So you trade him. You bring in Kenyon Green. He's not here. He's cut. That was bad. Didn't like that trade. And then you not only don't have a safety to take over, but the safety that you did draft to take over is hurt. The other safety you're trying to give opportunities to in Sidney Brown, he's also hurt. You cut Tristan McCullum, and you bring back Marcus Epps as news of that broke last night. Okay. Still don't like this. This doesn't feel good. Don't like it at all, as a matter of fact. You bring in Adoree Jackson to compete with Keely Ringo. Keely Ringo barely shows up in the competition. You have to go out and get Jacorian Bennett. Good move. Like the move. But we still got questions about who the outside corner is going to be. When it's not Quinyon Mitchell, and when it's not Cooper DeJean. I get it. But you just think about those moves in particular, it just seems ill-advised. And also, Fred Johnson, you could have just re-signed him. You could have re-signed Isaiah Rodgers. All these things could have happened in a cap-responsible way. And if anyone knows how to be responsible with the cap, it's Howie Roseman. I still think he's done a phenomenal job with this football team. Like I said, he is in the midst of a good run, a great run. He's in the midst of a great run. I didn't say it's over. Just I'll term these as curious moves and trades that Howie did not win, unfortunately. The good thing for Howie is that he has done so much great work leading up to this season that shouldn't be that much of a factor. It should still make you a pretty damn good football team. And I even said this at the end of last year when we were talking about Mekhi Becton and we were talking about even Chauncey Gardner-Johnson shortly after that trade came out and all that. We were talking about, whether or not this team was going to get better from last year to this year. Let's acknowledge one thing. It is going to be extremely difficult, wire to wire, from Thursday night to the Super Bowl. That's right. It's going to be very difficult for this team to repeat the same exact type of success, including a 10-game winning streak, for crying out loud, that they were able to accomplish last year. That's going to be tough. That's going to be hard. However, as I said at the end of last year, the league had a lot of catching up to do on the Philadelphia Eagles. And when Saquon Barkley uttered that phrase about, or that sentence about how the Eagles are one of the best teams ever, he's absolutely right. Now, he's not, if you want to talk about, comparing like the 1980 49ers or the 2000s Patriots, and he's not talking about dynasties. What he's talking about is how many teams can really go back and say, wow, you had a blowout victory in your conference championship game, and then you had another blowout victory of a dynasty-seeking team in the Super Bowl. Not many teams can say that in the history of the NFL, but the Philadelphia Eagles can. And I believe that's what Saquon Barkley is really referencing. And I 1,000% agree with him. And I also agree with the idea that the league had a lot of catching up to do. This year will determine whether or not the league is caught up. And if they have caught up, then the unfortunate part about it is I think the number one factor here, and it goes for every great team, is injury. You have to have players stay healthy. You have to have players play the season. You have to have players, you have to have your quarterback playing, 16 games at least. All right. 17? Can we go for 7? Let's go for a full season, Jalen Hurts. You got to stay healthy. That's the obvious thing. The other thing is the guys you're investing in, especially in the rookie class, like Jahad Campbell, for instance, he's got to show you he belongs at the NFL level. I got a lot of confidence. And it's not even just, first-round pick. Look what he does. The way these guys talk about him, as I've referenced many times, from Zach Bond to Jalen Hurts to Vic Fangio, all these guys, they love this guy. And if they're investing in him and going, this was totally the right pick, I haven't heard anything that has been concerning. And here's the wonderful thing about having Vic Fangio. One of the many things about having Vic Fangio as your defensive coordinator, he's going to tell you whether or not it's going well. And so far, it's going pretty well. Also, Ty Robinson, investing in him, not as a first-round pick by any means or a second-round pick, but a fourth-round pick, about what he could do for this defense. I'm all for it. Then you also look at what Drew Makuba could do. He showed you in one game in the preseason what he's capable of, at least. But again, injuries. Your rookie's got to step up. You got to stay healthy. That's what we're looking at. When it comes to the practice squad, we're going to get to that in a little bit. But I do really want to get into this with you because this is such a thorn in the side, unfortunately. The Philadelphia Phillies are now 3 and 6 and 23 at Citi Field. 6 and 23 at Citi Field. Going back to 2022. You can't tell me that place is not haunted. Like, the Phillies look at that field and they see ghosts. They get skittish. They grip the bat too tight. They take things. Look, I think this is certainly true in baseball. Take it a little too serious. I know some people don't like that because, oh no, they're not trying hard enough. No, I think they're I think they're just overdoing it. I also don't think they're that good. I think they're good enough to make the playoffs, as I have said all year long. But I don't think they're good enough to win a World Series. And I certainly don't think they're good enough to beat the Mets on the road. And they're probably not good enough to beat the Mets in general. We're going to learn a lot about the Phillies and Mets again in a 4-game series coming up in 2 weeks now. We're going to learn a lot about the Phillies in a 3-game series coming up against the Brewers starting Monday. We're going to learn a lot about the Phillies during a West Coast road trip when they play the Dodgers. But right now, we learned a lot about the Philadelphia Phillies, and that's no matter how many games up they are in the division. 7's a pretty nice lead, I'll say that. No matter how many games they are up on the Mets are still going to be a pain in their arse. And what really troubles me about this series, troubles, but not shocks or surprises. Let me stress that. What really troubles me about this 3-game sweep is that it's the second one this year. You're 0-6 at Citi Field this year. And with the Mets not exactly playing great baseball going into this series, you had an opportunity at a 7-game lead. Not that I believed it was going to happen, but an opportunity at 7-game lead to take a 10-game lead in the division and essentially just snuff out the Mets and, take their heart and soul. You instead acted as the defibrillator. And you were like, clear. I think it's actually clear. I think it's actually clear. And you may have brought them back to life. Instead of being 10 games up, you're now 4 games up. I did not expect them to win this series. And I don't care if they were 20 games up. This isn't about first place. This isn't about just making the playoffs. Let's establish what the bar is for the Philadelphia Phillies. The Philadelphia Phillies have a bar right now that is established at winning a World Series. I say this all the time. They're in the same boat as the 76ers, and it's like once it looked like a yacht, and now it looks like an inflatable, like life-saving raft is what it looks like. That's what it looks like. And they're in the same life-saving raft right now. And there's no, make it out of the second round for the Sixers? Yay. No, just win a championship, damn it. Then it's, you look at the Phillies, it's like, just, make the World Series. No. Win the World Series. That's where we're at right now. And everybody loves Kyle Schwarber, and I love Kyle Schwarber. That was a hell of a time to pick to go 0-20. That's not exactly the best timing there. Taijuan Walker got hit yesterday, but in a game where your offense gets shut out, it's hard for me to be really mad at Taijuan Walker. Also, you had opportunities to really, take the bull by the horn, so to speak, in this series by going, 1 for 19, 2 for 19 going into yesterday with runners in scoring position. And that just shows a lack of ability to come up in the clutch. I mean, I don't believe that the Mets are a really good baseball team. I just believe that they have the Phillies number. And I think the Phillies look across the way, whether it's at Citi Field. Now, they took 2 or 3 against the Mets in South Philly this season. Hopefully they have that magic left in their hat. But they look across the way, and they look at the Mets, and they just go, this team has just got a number no matter what we do. What we do. They just know how to beat us. They know how to pitch us. They know how to beat us. Yesterday, Nolan McLean, their rookie pitcher, but it really is wild. Like Nolan Ryan's the first name that comes to mind when you go way back and all that stuff with the Mets. And I know, but he's the first Mets pitcher ever to win all 3 of his first 3 big league starts. That's pretty damn good. And I will say, watching him yesterday was mesmerizing. And normally when you get to the 5th inning and the opposing pitcher is only thrown 50 pitches, normally I'd go, come on, Phillies, you got to stop swinging to the first pitch. Stop being so aggressive. Let the guy pitch to you and all that stuff. This guy was hammering the strike zone. So it was like, yeah, okay, swing at the first pitch. The next one's going to be a strike anyway, so you want to go down 0-2? No. And it took me about the 3rd inning to go, okay, though, this guy's really got it. This guy, I understand why he might want to try to jump on a first pitch fastball here. Because if he gets you down in the count, the perfect example is the Nick Castellanos at bat in the, I want to say it was the 3rd or 4th inning. Castellanos is up there, and McLean throws him. It looked like a curveball. I had to go back and look at it a couple of times just to make sure I was looking at the right pitch. It looked like a curveball. It was a sinker. Like it just the arc on it, like it didn't just have run on it. It had like dip on it. I was like, what the hell was that? Was that a sweeper? No, I looked at it many times. It was absolutely a sinker. And Castellanos went down on that on a 3-2 pitch in the third inning. Yeah. On a 3-2 pitch, just right, just at the knees, inside corner at the knees, just painted it. And I went, okay, this guy's got something going for him. Let's hope he hits a wall on the 4th or 5th inning or something. But other than that, it looks like these Phillies bats are going to be at bay yet again at Citi Field. And there was one point in the game. So anyway, he was sick, absolutely sick yesterday. But there was one point in the game that I started laughing, and then I was actually appreciative. And that came in the 8th inning. Phillies are losing 6-0. Tanner Banks just gave up the 2-run home run to Vientos there. Alec Boehm leads off the 8th inning against McLean and gets a single to right field. And up next is Max Kepler. He gets a single. Boehm's able to go to third on it. So now you have first and third, nobody out. 8th inning, you haven't scored a run in this ballgame. Castellanos hits a fly ball to right field. Juan Soto's there, about midfield and right field. Okay, not deep, not shallow. Alec Boehm on third. He's tagging. Juan Soto fires it home on a rope. Alec Boehm does not tag up and score. He stays at third base. And I went, fair. Juan Soto throwing, Alec Boehm running. That's not a recipe for success. So then they hit who was it up next? It was Stott up next. Stott hits the line drive to left field. Boehm again tagging up, waiting to see what happens. They fire in. They hold Boehm. This one, the throw is up the line. He just might have made it in there, but probably still out. It's a 6-0 game. Why not just send him, right? Why not just send him? Just say it's 6-0. Just try to get something going, right? I am so glad that Dusty Wathan, I was laughing at first because it was like a cat and mouse game that the Phillies were clearly losing. That Alec Boehm was clearly losing at third base because, as I say all the time about Nick Castellanos, Alec Boehm as well is not fleet of foot. And it was the second time in this series where the speed of Alec Boehm, or lack thereof, really hurt the Phillies. There was that double from Trey Turner, I think in game 1, that Boehm went from first to third with 2 outs. So he's running on contact, and he's like at second base when the ball lands in the outfield for a double, and they still don't send him. So it was the second time in this series, third time if you include both sac flies that could have been. And I was so grateful that Dusty was the second and third time in this series that Alec Boehm's speed cost him. But I was so glad Dusty Wathan didn't send Alec Boehm in either of the situations yesterday in particular. Because Alec Boehm has become like Reese Hoskins to the Mets fans. They're booing him now every at-bat and all that stuff. The Hoskins stuff I didn't get. That was the Mets' fault. They kept on throwing at the guy. But this stuff, Boehm's the guy that called out the shiny parabolic mic covers in center field there. So now they're booing him every at-bat. Fine. So could you imagine if Dusty Wathan would have sent him on any of those sac flies, or I should just say flyouts, that if he gets thrown out at home plate, the eruption you would have heard at Citi Field, the jubilation you would have heard at Citi Field, could you imagine? That would suck. That would be the cherry on top of a crappy sundae. That's what it would have been. So I am beyond grateful that Dusty Wathan did not send Alec Boehm. And again, you could say, oh, it's 6-0. You're just trying to get something going. Who cares? Get a run across the plate. Don't get shut out. No, thank you. It wasn't worth it. You're not winning this series. You're not winning the game. That's for sure. Don't give the Mets any more reason to think that they absolutely have your number. They already have it. And they already know it, too. So that was extremely frustrating. I did like what I heard from Kyle Schwarber after the game. And what Kyle Schwarber said after the game was, he's asked about, hey, you guys can't win at Citi Field. Do you worry you might give it a little bit more life to the Mets here? He's like, yeah, I don't think about that. I think about us. I think about what we have to do. And in all honesty, look, this series sucked. The Phillies were terrible. Even a 3-0 lead with Christopher Sanchez on the hill, I was on the edge of my seat. It turned out Sanchi, one little balk, the ghosts at Citi Field, tripped him up, I'm sure, and then rerouted his pitch home that was wild. Like even then, I didn't feel like, oh, they got this. They got this. They're just going to turn the tide. This is going to be great. Bryce Harper's 2-run single in game 2, didn't feel it. Yesterday, at no point did I feel it that they were going to win. And Kyle Schwarber's just saying, yeah, I'm focused on us. Kyle Schwarber's great for things like this. I mean, he's great for a lot of things. Obviously not great for hitting right now in his last 20 at-bats, over 20, but I know, we all know he's going to bounce out. He's going to get out of that. But if you remember, after the Phillies got no hit in the World Series, Kyle Schwarber was the guy in the locker room who's being like, yeah, I don't give a, you know what? He's like, I don't give an ish. Okay. I don't care. On to the next game. And that's the mentality they have to have, because I know the Braves are coming to town for a 4-game series, and the Phillies have to handle their business against the Braves. You want to get back on track here. Look, all I'm concerned about right now is getting distance again between you and the Mets. So at least you will at least have better playoff seeding. But when it comes to the opportunity to face the Mets in the playoffs, that sounds terrible to me. That sounds like a big old fat repeat of what you experienced last year with the Phillies and the Mets, and I want no part of that. So the only option here for the Phillies, especially when you have, you have in the final month plus of the season, you have the Mets for 4, you have the Dodgers for 3, and you have the Brewers for 3. You're talking about 10 games here. Those are going to be tough games. Very, very tough games. So games like this against the Braves, you can't afford to play down to your opponent. You can't afford to have the play down to your opponent BS lurking over your head. You can't have that gray cloud over top your head just waiting to rain down on any, 2-run lead, 3-run lead you try to build. No, you got to dominate. Aaron Nola, I got zero patience tonight. I have zero patience tonight for Aaron Nola not having anything less than a stellar start. Like, I need by stellar start, by Aaron Nola's standard, I'm going to say I need another like 6 innings, 2 runs type John from him tonight. Please and thank you. So they get that underway tonight. Cross our fingers for all that. Look at yesterday. Couple of things to highlight. Bader yesterday had that great throw. He bobbled a couple balls in center field, which was unlike him. Off the ground, it wasn't like he dropped fly balls or anything. But the throw that he got Lindor with was awesome. That was a great moment. Also, how about this Trevino dude coming up and pitching for the Phils last night? This guy kind of liked seeing him in the lineup. I'm sorry, on the pitching mound, or on the mound rather, especially when it comes to you don't have Jordan Romano anymore. It's because of the IL with the inflammation. It's inflamed, Deborah. Yeah. So I like seeing him out there. That was a nice thing. Local product. 15 pitches, a strikeout. I think a 98-mile-per-hour sinker. Yeah, Lou Trevino, welcome to the party, pal. So yeah, I definitely like that. Your Philadelphia Eagles. Let's get over to another thing here. Your Philadelphia Eagles. Their practice squad. I was very happy to see this. Eli Ricks comes back on the practice squad. I like Eli Ricks. I've told you guys I like Eli Ricks. I think the guy's a competitor. I hope good things for him. I don't expect good things for him, but I hope. If it just comes down to rooting for a specific player, Eli Ricks is that guy. Andre Sam, I told you guys that I really liked in the preseason. He's back. Terrence Marshall's back. Perry Nickerson is back. Very happy to see that. EJ Jenkins, for as much as you could love a practice squad tight end, I love that he's back. I think the guy can play if he gets the opportunity, and he might just get that opportunity. Kenyon Green did come back on the practice squad, the aforementioned Kenyon Green, and Kyle McCord. Names of note that are back. Also, Antoine Powell-Ryland, also back on the Eagles roster. They did waive Trevor Keegan, and they did waive Tristan McCullum. And I did mention earlier in the show that they brought back Marcus Epps as a safety for this team. That kind of puts a little bit of a hitch in the giddy up of getting my man Justin Simmons, but can't have it all. They also brought back Charlie Hewitt as a long snapper, and they claim Willie Lampkin as well, a guard and center. But all in all, yesterday, I think you just got really good news on the Philadelphia Eagles. And I got to tell you, I'm watching the Netflix series on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know some people might immediately jump to, well, how could you watch that? What? Well, I'll tell you why I'm watching it. Ready? Know thy enemy. And a lot of stuff that went on with the Dallas Cowboys in the Jerry Jones era, that especially the early days, I was a little kid for. Like, I don't remember any of that. Like, I don't know a lot of it. I know like the basics. Like, I know about him firing Tom Landry. I know about him hiring Jimmy Johnson. Like, as a kid, I knew when a coach got fired, that kind of thing. But like, I didn't know the in-depth stuff behind it. And plus, it was so easy to just dismiss the Cowboys as a team you just hated. So like, why do I want to spend any time watching them? But now that I can't take them seriously as a contender, it makes it a lot easier to watch this. Plus, I just like learning stuff about sports. And the Cowboys are a big story in sports. Let's call it what it is. The documentary is extremely well done. I think I got 2 or 3 episodes left. But watching it has made me even more excited for week 1. Watching it has made me even more excited for this season to kick off against the Dallas Cowboys and just take it to them. So yesterday, while I'm following everything that's going on in practice, and A.J. Brown's out there, and Devontae Smith's out there, and Landon Dickerson is out there already, makes you feel like, ooh, this team's going to have something special waiting for the Cowboys come Thursday night's kickoff to start the 2025 NFL season. They're going to have something spicy cooked up. And then you see that they just keep some guys on the practice squad that you like to have around. I don't know if I mentioned Kyle McCord. I think I mentioned Kyle McCord. He's new back as well. I mean, he's a drafted quarterback, so it's good that he's at least not just going to be gone. Anaya Smith is gone. He's not on the practice squad. I know that was some speculation that he was going to come back, but he's not. But it has just made me a lot more excited about this season. And I still look, Marcus Epps is a veteran. He's obviously got experience in Philadelphia. That doesn't move the needle for me at all, other than I know they'll have a warm body that has experience playing the safety position. They won't have to rely on the health of Sidney Brown right out of the gate. They won't have to rely on the health of Drew Makuba right out of the gate. Drew Makuba not out there yesterday at practice, by the way. So, and also getting a good, solid backup tackle that can play in Fred Johnson is also a really good feeling. So a lot of good stuff coming out yesterday for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm just very excited to see all this come to fruition a week from today. How great is that? I can't wait. I can't wait. The one more thing. The Philadelphia 76ers, I talked about this a couple weeks ago. They're bringing back the Iverson black jersey. Now, I remember 2 variations of this. The one that was more like a tank top, and the other one that was more like a cutoff sleeve. I think they're bringing back the tank top, if I'm not mistaken. But on top of that, and whatever it is, great. I love it. As a kid, I didn't appreciate it because I've always been more of a retro guy, an old soul, as they say. But I always liked the old school logo and all that. But they went with this Iverson era jersey, and it was cool looking back on it. But I was excited to see that it was coming back. I hate to use this word. I'm stoked at the idea that they're bringing back a variation of the Iverson era court at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. It looks awesome. I saw Crossing Broad had the renderings of it or whatever. It looks awesome. And Sixers need whatever they can get their hands on to make anybody feel optimistic or happy about them coming back. Because it doesn't look good right now. Not for a while, unfortunately. So this, at least, is something Sixers related that made me smile. That's all I can say about it. So the jersey's coming back. Hey, yay. The court looking good. All right. This is going to be fun. And anything really beats the hell out of that, that red court. It was like during the NBA Cup, the first installment of the NBA Cup, where the Sixers had a court that looked like a pickup game broke out at the Red Wedding between the Lannisters and the other two. What was the other? Not the with the other people. The thing that I forget about. What's the thing? The stocks. That's what it was. Yeah. So, yeah, any variation of the court that's not that red wedding court, I'm fine with. Let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. And how about Sky Motor Cars? Brett's amazing inventory at Sky Motor Cars. Check out SkyMotorcars.com. Programming note before I get into the chat check here. No Farzy show tomorrow. No Farzy show Monday. I will be away with the family for Labor Day weekend. I hope you guys are able to enjoy Labor Day weekend with your families and friends and just kick your feet up and relax a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Also, for you postcast nuts, I appreciate you guys. No postcasts over the weekend as well. I'll be back at it. I'll be there. I'll be doing the postcast tonight. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be off Monday for the Brewer series. I'll be back with you, Ben. Be back with you. All right, let's get back to the chat. Let's get to the chat check. Almighty Lambo, hello. Sean Kilran, good morning. Sean Kilran, Phillies finished 3 for 22 with runners in scoring position in this series. Mets finished 21 for 37 with runners in scoring position in this series. Good God, man. Here's what was interesting. I'll say this, Sean. The Phillies, I know that gif of the guy. He looks like he's from the 80s or early 90s, where he's like looking at it. He's like I thought of it and you didn't. And he's got that look on his face. Well, like the Phillies didn't have anybody in scoring position until I think it was Alec Boehm when he got on third base in the 8th. But up until then, I was like, you can't be bad with runners in scoring position if you don't put runners in scoring position. And then they were bad with runners in scoring position. Bone Mike. By the way, let me also say this for both sides. This is not a complaint. This is not a excuse for why the Phillies were terrible in this series. The Phillies were terrible in this series because they were terrible. But the umpiring in this, when C.B. Buckner is the best umpire behind the plate in a 3-game series, that's a crappy umpiring crew. Willie Traynor, no bueno. Scott Barry. That's Scott Barry. C.B. Buckner was like really good yesterday. There was 1 or 2 pitches that sure he blew, like the 3-0 pitch with 2 outs and Bryce Harper on first base. The 3-0 pitch to JT Realmuto was way outside. He called it a strike. JT Realmuto ended up popping out to Francisco Lindor to make the final out of the inning. But he should have had a walk. Should have had a runner in scoring position at that point. I think that was the 7th inning. And unfortunately, that's not the way it went down. Bone Mike, that's funny. Lil G, I'm a big fan of the Eagles season. Better Eagles kick Cowboys butts. There we go. Epps played for the Eagles from 2019 to 2022, started in the Super Bowl. Now he returns, veteran presence. Yep, I'm fine with that. Again, I'm happy that at least I know you have a safety that can play. I just know that there's a better safety out there. You should go get it. Jason A, good morning. Sean Kilrain, I agree with this. Sean Kilrain, hold on. Check out this slash line of City Field since 2024. Bader, 5 cents. There's a lot of numbers, man. I can't rattle those off, but I appreciate it. Boom, Mike. Alec Boehm, thank you for losing the NL East to the Mets. That's what we're going to trace this whole season's failure back to. Boehm shouldn't have complained about the microphones. Phillies have been embarrassing, says Jason A. This series seems being in City Field is our kryptonite. Fair. Rye, good morning. Jeremy Von Skyver, good morning, Farzy. You know what annoys me? Trolls. Last night in your post-game podcast, over 250 people live. That's true. Scouring through the chat, it's like, don't you guys have your own chat? Thank you very much. He's saying I was great. That's very nice. It's very nice, Jeremy. Thank you. Yeah, but I expect that when you have a market like that in New York, they're gonna go into other chats and they're just gonna celebrate and eat their popcorn while you're crying. It's gonna happen. Also, welcome back, Marcus Epps. 3-card Monty, hello. Phillies are... Oh, that's interesting. Thank you very much for that one. Sorry about that for the kids. Kevin, good morning. Good morning. I was young back in 83, but while reading my Phillies history book, I believe the Dodgers owned us in the regular season. Well, the Phillies whooped their asses in the playoffs. And that's all it comes down to. Yes, Willie Lampkin, 5'3", Jeremy. How about that? That's like that's me. That's like me. That's ridiculous. Although one doctor said I was 6 foot, 6'11", that'd be 6 foot. So I'll go with that. Sean Curry, Rams are going to regret this, right? Sean Kilrain, what a great documentary about those cowgirls, Farzy, right? We will sign Justin Simmons. That's the attitude I like. And Asante Samuel Jr. Okay. Oh, wow. T-Bro, black Sixers jersey equals time to break out the answer fours. I had, what did I have? The Kobe's. We wanted the answers. We wanted the answer. We got the Kobe's, unfortunately, in my high school freshman basketball team at Archbishop Wood. April. Good morning, April. Good morning. Let's go, Bird, says Habib. Hello, Habib. Good morning. Let's go. Let's do it. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great. As per usual, be back with you guys today for Locked On 76ers. Be back with you guys today with Locked On Eagles Squad. And be back with you guys for Phillies postcast tonight. Oh, and I'll be back with you guys at Fox 29 at 7:45 this morning. So where do you get a load of me? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. See you guys later.